Today, powerful people in the games industry keep taking easily avoidable own goals, but what else is new? This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. Reinstall any good retro games this week?
Nah, just Wolfenstein.
Oh, me too. Weird. The bad news is, Bloomberg reported this week that Sony had internally canceled 2 upcoming first-party games. The good news is they were both so-called live service games, a genre so saturated it has now become dangerously moist and prone to mold, as Sony themselves discovered last year with the deeply embarrassing post-release cancellation of Concord. Players don't want more live service games, but there's more bad news because the 2 companies working on these games just had years of their existence wasted, toiling away on trend chasing, and while Sony insists the studios aren't getting shut down, they almost assuredly will be hit with yet more industry layoffs. And what studios are we talking about here? Why, Bend Studio, known for their long history of single-player shooters like the entire Siphon Filter series and 2019's Days Gone, and Bluepoint, lauded for their PS5 remake of Demon's Souls. Imagine having to explain that the 4-year gap in your CV was due to management being unshakably convinced they'd make more money with a battle pass than by making good games. Anyway, how do I apply to become a gaming executive? Not because I'm passionate about making video games. I just want a job where I can get paid 6 figures for constantly fucking up, but somehow not get fired.
As you're no doubt aware, TikTok was briefly banned this week due to what I think can be aptly summed up as a bunch of politics where the end goal seems to be to concentrate control of the media and the economy in the hands of a few loyal oligarchs. Which certainly makes me think about my education, but anyhow, Marvel Snap, the popular mobile card game, also got caught up in all of that. Because although Marvel Snap developer Second Dinner is an American-owned company located in California, the game is published by Newverse, which is itself a subsidiary of TikTok owner ByteDance. Marvel Snap fans, of course, were absolutely outraged at Second Dinner. The subreddit lit up with people claiming that Second Dinner knew it was going to be caught up in the TikTok ban and that they wanted to lose a huge portion of their player base and not be able to take money from Americans for an indeterminate amount of days right in the middle of a huge community event they were in the middle of hyping up like it was all some sort of cunning master plan. Which sounds insane when you say it out loud, but it was several days before anyone on the subreddit was brave enough to admit that. But surely you, the imaginary devil's advocate, say, oh, but why? Why didn't Second Dinner know about that? Surely they should have known because they're friends with one of ByteDance's other kids that also got kicked out of the pool. And I don't know, man. I didn't think that was going to happen, and I've literally reported that Marvel Snap's publisher is owned by ByteDance before, and I play a lot of Marvel Snap. Anyhow, it's back now, and Bullseye is legit spend keys.
Today, we bring you a profile in courage. Video game prices haven't risen much in recent years, leading some to speculate that it will take a highly anticipated game to break the $70 wall. According to industry analyst Matthew Ball, quote, there is hope within the industry that Take-Two Interactive will price Grand Theft Auto 6 between $80 and $100. Ball fails to mention in his presentation exactly who in the industry is hoping for this, but let's just assume it's every other game publisher on the planet. See, game development is expensive, and also, studio executives love money. But after the jump to $70 back in 2020, no one wants to be the first to jump again, so the industry is hoping that Take-Two will go first, opening the floodgates for everyone else to join the tsunami. Like I said, courage. And you know what? Fine. Go ahead. Studios have ground the industry to powder trying everything else. They've tried panic hiring employees. They've tried panic firing employees. They've tried acquisitions. They've tried splitting up. They've tried announcing new games. They've tried canceling new games. They've tried paying their executives massive salaries. They've tried working their employees to death. That one wasn't a dichotomy. Okay, they've tried putting their games on deep discount mere months after they debut. What's left in the bag of tricks, other than cutting the salaries of the richest people in the company, increasing labor protections among staff to raise morale, and believing in a game just enough that it could stay at full retail price for longer than it takes to create a new human being. How about this strategy? Evaluate the production cost of your product, factor in labor and overhead, add an appropriate profit margin, and respect your customers. Tell them that, yes, big studio games with hundreds of hours of content are naturally going to cost more money to develop. Or, do something radical and make a smaller game. Courage.
Casual? Fans of Fortnite might soon be waking up in the middle of the night with their heads in their hands, wondering how long they're going to have to wait for the release of a Chapel Roan skin, thanks to hints from a recent interview with BBC Radio 1's Jack Saunders. The pop star sat down to chat about her songs, her success, her zero tolerance for bullshit policy, and most importantly to us, her gaming habits. And while we can't yet deduce whether having a wand and a rabbit will necessarily lead to liking Magic, the Gathering, we did find out that when she's not meeting you for coffee instead of dinner or at the jazz bar on Marianne Street, Chapel prefers to play Fortnite on the Switch with an edible. She said it with a quick, even sort of resigned sigh, perhaps the confession of someone so sick of online frags that they're ready to kick their go-go boots into their TV. Saunders asked whether Rowan had tried out Fortnite's recently released ballistic mode, but it was both the first she'd heard of it and clearly not her kink. For the Midwest princess, Fortnite loses its luster if she can't see a super graphic, ultra modern Ariana Grande skin. When asked about her own skin line and when it would be available at the Epic Store, Chapel looked directly into the camera and replied, "That's what I'm going to use this interview for. Give me a skin, please." And you know what? Great for her. Is a Chapel Roan Fortnite skin going to be hot like Papa John? The singer sort of put forward ideas of maybe a Statue of Liberty costume, but wasn't opposed to a VMA Joan of Arc look, either sporting a crossbow or offering people a hit from an apple bong. People say I'm jealous, but she really doesn't care if you are a stoner. Wait, I didn't think that last one through.
The GDC 2025 State of the Game Industry report is out, and it's depressing-ish. The survey of 3,000 developers shows how a not necessarily representative slice of people who work in games feel about topics related to their industry. The respondents are mostly American, mostly white, mostly men, and mostly not LGBTQ+, with 35% identifying as straight white men, though those numbers are diversifying. It's honestly really thoughtful, and I recommend you read it. It's valuable to know how the people whose work is so important to us view the health of their own industry. To wit, key takeaways from the report are that a little over 1 in 10 game developers have been laid off in the past year, with a plurality working in narrative. Is it good when the 17% of your workforce who do all the storytelling are eating 19% of the job loss? Can't tell because your ability to evaluate and contextualize objective reality is being systematically undermined? It's probably fine. Or maybe it's not. Who can tell? Speaking of hallucinations, the section on generative AI is interesting. It features the pull quote, "I have a PhD in AI, worked to develop some of the algorithms used by generative AI. I deeply regret how naively I offered up my contributions." So keep that in mind while hearing these numbers. While an increasing number of developers have said they personally use Gen AI in their work, 36%, up from 31 in 2024, fewer companies are interested in using generative AI tools, dropping from 15% in 2024 to 9% this year. The number of developers who say that Gen AI has had a positive impact on the game industry has dropped from 21% to 13% this year, while the number of developers who said that it's having a negative impact has jumped from 18 to 30%. The responses seem to show attitudes on AI are splitting, with fewer developers saying their opinion is mixed, more saying they're very concerned about the ethics of its use, and more companies developing policies either explicitly permitting or prohibiting generative AI use. And that trend could point to an eventual bimodal distribution, with some studios becoming anti-AI Puritans while others become fully AI cults, though perhaps a select few may unlock a third green or synthesis ending. And look, stop laying off writers. We're going to need help imagining better futures, other worlds, and different perspectives over the next few years. And now it's time for an unrelated outro goof.
That's right. In an effort to keep the show approachable, we asked the BBC's crack panel show writing team to give us one of their best show-closing comedy bits. And they wrote back and they said, no.
This has been the unrelated outro goof.
Coming up, we discuss 10 new articles that contain no news about the Nintendo Switch 2. Then after the break, we speak with no one who has any actual information about the Nintendo Switch 2. But first, a content-free look at the Nintendo Switch 2.
Those little bits at the side of the Switch 2, I've seen people be like, oh, that's the failure point. That thing's going to break so easily. And it's like, you think You don't know anything about it. You think they haven't tested this. You think they haven't.
Do you think they haven't given this to a single child?
The worst part about Nintendo being bullied into basically releasing that trailer before that they were ready is that they're not doing the direct about the Switch until April, which they're allowed to do. But the worst part is that now, as that coming up suggested, between now and then, we just have breathless clickbait.
Correct.
Based on nothing.
Correct. When has that stopped the news industry before from talking about feelings?
It hasn't.
And
Speaking
outrage.
of talking about feelings, the stories this week were written, but all five of us wrote a story.
Yeah.
Snap, and I did the Sony stuff. Beej wrote about the GTA price. Cameron wrote about the GDC thing, and
Nelson parsed all those Chapel Roan lyrics for us, and so many. Like, I feel like I've learned a lot about her just by reading that story.
Yeah.
If you picked out the references, let us know in the comments below.
We were talking in our thread about writing this episode about, I was like, is there anything in Fortnite that scans for
Hot to go?
The best we came up with was HOTTO, Mato Town.
Oh, I just wrote FORTOGO for the
lower third, yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think of it as a headline because we put it at the top of the story.
Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, nothing about the Switch because we don't know anything about the Switch because all we know about the Switch is that there's a Switch.
Yes.
That's it. That's all that that's all you get until April. So cool it.
I mean, you know what's coming.
Yeah. Thing is, we kind of already did know it was coming.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
I know.
Some people there's that one shot in the trailer where the Joy-Cons are doing this, right?
I haven't even watched the trailer.
Like, they look like light bikes, and people are like, oh, you can use them, because there was a rumor that you'd be able to use them like mice.
No.
Apparently.
Oh,
I don't know. They were like, that's why that's in the trailer, because it means you can, I don't know.
Okay.
The return of Mario Paint?
You could tell me all about this in April when we actually get some real news. I don't need to there's enough going on. I don't need to waste my time with this. I got to waste my time on Marvel Snap. That is legit my collector's level, by the way.
Yeah, tell me about that deck that we screenshotted in the story.
Well, I don't think it's a particularly wild deck that I'm running. That, it's some sort of sick tech I brewed up. I'm sure other people are running it, but basically this doesn't make sense unless you play Marvel Snap, but you discard Swarm over and over again, and then you throw Swarm at them, and then you fill your hand, or you play a bunch of free O5s on the last turn. Like, there's, sort of multiple ways of... It's demoralizing and disgusting. I like it.
Great. Cool. I was so sad with the Sony story to hear that that's what Blue Point's been working on this whole time.
Can I make a suggestion for Blue Point if they're now between projects? Do you know what they'd be so good at doing, I bet?
What?
Remastering...
Anything else?
Bloodborne?
Yeah, exactly. That's what people assume. They were like, look at this amazing remaster we've done of Demon Souls. And then Sony was like, well, we're buying you. And everyone was like, yeah.
They're going to make Bloodborne now. Oh.
No,
they could still make it now. They could still make it now.
I don't actually remember if it was Bend or Blue Point that was working on this one, but one of the two live service games was like a God of War live service game. And everyone was like, well, that sounds... awful. So I'm glad you canceled that, I guess. Like, they were like, we're canceling games. What? No. This is what the games were going to be. And everyone was like, okay, yeah, actually, we didn't want those anyway.
Yeah. The last time I heard much about Bend Studios is they were freaking out that their stupid Days Gone guy got to be in...
Not Bend Studio.
The previous guy from...
He hasn't worked there in years.
They were probably very happy to have
they fired him because he was a knobhead.
Well, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
He was so mad that, like, their cool biker guy was an astrobot.
Yeah.
So, because, it wasn't dignified or something.
No, the current staff at Bend Studio thought it was great that he was an astrobot, but that guy's a knobhead.
Okay, well, that guy doesn't work there anymore.
It's funny. I did not realize until I looked it up for this story that they made all the Siphon Filter games, because I'd noticed them a bunch on an old PlayStation sort of like gallery of, I think it was the 30th anniversary thing, and I was like, oh yeah, they made a bunch of these. Why has no one made a new Siphon Filter game in years?
Maybe that's what they were working on, as a live service Siphon Filter.
Not everything has to be a live service.
Well, yeah, we've discovered that now. I could have told them that fucking 3 years ago when they all started firing up all of this shit. And it's like, hey man, like by the time you finish this game, is it going to be the new hotness? And that's the thing, is just like year after year, like the games that like capture the public imagination are not the games that have like copied an already winning formula from a couple of years ago. It's a game that they've been working on for a long time, doing their own thing with, right? Baldur's Gate, Astrobot, whatever one, what won in 2022? What was the game of the year in 2022?
Elden Ring?
Yeah.
I think probably.
I mean, Elden Ring, they're just always going to do their own FromSoft thing, and that's what we want from them. But FromSoft doesn't chase other people's tactics.
No.
They make their own weird hard games.
Yeah. Just
It was Elden Ring, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Just make good games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or just make a game that is good on its own merits and does not chase a monetization trend that may or may not be relevant by the time the game comes out. Make a game that you are confident can make its money in its own way, or don't make it.
That's why we make the content that we do. Speaking of monetization trends, you can support us at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. We really, really appreciate it because
this is, I mean, basically
we do this instead of like maximizing the algorithm.
Correct. Yeah, we could be a little mindless outrage farmers putting nothing but misery into the world, stirring the pot to serve the algorithm and our masters.
Ugh.
But now we serve you instead, but in an amorphous kind of artistic patronage kind of way.
Yeah, yeah. You can also support us by becoming a member on this YouTube channel, and shout out to those people shortly at the end of this video. But I think that's going to do it.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. See you next time. Yeah.